What's going on, guys? It is that male CNA back at it again with another video today. I do apologize for the long hiatus. It is just pretty tough to come up with a different topic, and plus I've had some other personal things going on. So today I wanted to talk about agency CNAs versus regular staffed CNAs, and the points I wanted to bring across are the rate of pay, the treatment of regular CNAs versus agency CNAs, the assignments we have to take, and the understaffing in these facilities. So let's talk about first the understaffing at these different facilities. I want to bring up a good point. An agency I worked with up in Vermont was TLC Healthcare. The agency was good to work for, just had some personal things going on at home, so I had to leave the assignment a little bit early. But let's talk about the staffing ratios. So this facility usually had about 40 different residents on one end and another 20 in the dementia care unit. And a lot of the time I was working in the long-term care side of things just due to the fact that they didn't really have enough staffing there. So this facility, I believe that 75 to 80% of the workers that were there were actually travel CNAs or agency CNAs that were letting this facility stay afloat. It wasn't a very difficult assignment, but it was due to the fact that I was very surprised at how low the staffing ratio is. I mean, that's across the entire country right now, especially with the COVID uprisings, the rate of pay. A lot of people aren't happy with that. Now, coming to that, I always found myself very short-handed in these situations. It's not just that. Working for different facilities as well, it's just you're surprised about how many people are actually agency versus how are actually staffed through the facility themselves. Now, when it came to the staffing situation, you'd have yourself like 1 to 15 or 1 to 20 patients on your run list or your assignment, however you guys call it. But we always found ourselves like always taking the hardest assignment because we didn't really know what the easiest assignments were. We didn't really know the patients. We really didn't know transfer statuses. We don't know how they eat or how, if they're continent versus incontinence. A lot of that stuff we had to kind of find out on our own or going through the patient care plans. Now, the hard part about that is that you're sitting there, you have to do this for a half hour. You're loading up your carts, you're getting people ready for bed, you're passing out trays, you're doing all different types of incontinence care, you're caring for people, showers, all that crazy stuff. And how are you supposed to know about these individuals if you've never dealt with them before? Now, when it came to it, we gave us about an hour of training just running us down on the different assignments, the individuals that we had to care for, all their transfer statuses, all that good stuff. I know a couple people would probably prefer to say, oh yeah, you can just look it up in the patient care plan. But if you're like only 2 CNAs on the floor and you have a bunch of different stuff going on, how are you going to know that? So that comes into the understaffing in these facilities. If they are hurting for people, obviously they're going to bring in agency people like myself or other CNAs that are taking these types of assignments. Now, a lot of people don't understand is how short-staffed some of these facilities are. Some of these places depend completely on agency and travel CNAs to fill up these positions that they can't fill because no one wants to work in healthcare anymore. It's sad that a lot of CNAs are leaving this field to go and do something else. I know some CNAs are making 23, 24, 25, and there's either some assignments I've seen on Indeed that are $28 an hour for 13-week contracts, and oh yeah, you're promised the world until you get to these facilities and you see just how rough the conditions are, how deplorable some of the treatment is to some of the residents. It's just like, now I understand why these facilities are so short-staffed. And this is another thing, it's like you have some CNAs who will give you the most difficult assignment, where like a very difficult one-to-one patient or a sit-down is what I like to call it, and you're pretty much sitting there having to figure out things on your own. I mean, that's another thing that comes to the travel CNA and the assignment CNAs. It's like, yeah, we're supposed to know what we're doing. Some people come in with a lack of understanding of how just difficult some of these facilities can be. Yeah, your rate of pay might be better, but you're usually taking the harder assignments with the most Hoyers, the most dependent cares, the most assignment with the most feeders, so that type of thing. Now let's get into the rate of pay when it comes to that. So I know on certain assignments I've made $27 an hour, I've made $25 on another one. It all depends on what facility you're working for and how short-staffed they are. I just picked up agency job with Norton Staffing in New York. The rate of pay is pretty good, and the bonuses that are paid out are pretty good too. It's like you work 2 days a week, you work one weekend shift, there's a $250 bonus. Pretty nice. Now, I know a lot of rate of pay starting in these facilities is not very good. I've seen some where it's like $15, $16 an hour for a state job, which is like county, which is just crazy to me, but the benefits are really good, so that kind of outweighs that. That's why I also have a full-time job for like health insurance and good stuff like that. I see a lot of people complain about the rate of pay on these facilities, and it's completely understandable. How do you expect a CNA to work in these types of conditions without the rate of pay being adequate to supplement for the type of care that they have to provide, for the amount of patients that they have to deal with? Especially if you're working on something like a dementia unit or something like that. The level of care that some of these people need is far beyond what a person in, say, like a short-term care side of things and like rehab needs. You know, you're just helping them shower. They can mostly do their things for themselves. They're really not total care dependent. Maybe like a 1 or a 2 assist, just like in a bed transfer or something like that, but they could roll in bed. I've worked on vent units where these people, they're comatose, so you're pretty much doing everything for them. You're repositioning them every 2 hours. I mean, they have trachs and they're on their vents, so they're tube feeds, the NPOs. And getting a little bit off topic, but the rate of pay needs to match the type of work that is expected from you. And it really comes down to the owners and administration to sit down with union representatives to really get that rate of pay higher. How can you expect someone to work so hard but get burnt out at the end of their shift? And that's why just so many people are leaving and getting so sick and tired of healthcare, because the rate of pay does not match the type of work that is expected. So that kind of falls into how CNAs and agency CNAs are treated. At the end of the day, the agency CNA, like I said before, when it came to the understaffing, really does. I found myself usually taking the assignments that seemed more difficult than the other ones. I'd have like 5 or 6 Hoyers on my run list. I'd have like 5 or 6 feeders. I'd have people who are completely total care dependents. I mean, maybe like 9 out of the 15 were 2 assists or Hoyers, and it just. You do see like a level of animosity towards agency CNAs because our rate of pay is higher, but also we're going into these facilities blinded. We don't really know the rundown of these people. We're getting all that information on the go. We are kind of figuring out things for ourselves. We have to get into a routine. We have to know the patients. We get familiar with them after a couple of days if you're on the same run or on the same unit. But usually with an agency CNA, you're put where the facility needs you most. That's where I have found myself in these type of a situation. Like, there was one facility I was working for where I had the same run every day. I was on the same unit, but that's very rare, null and void, because of the fact that you're really not familiar with these residents. So I definitely do see some of these CNAs getting treated differently, especially when they're agency. It really comes down to the fact that your rate of pay is higher, and the CNAs don't like the fact that they have new people coming in getting paid higher than them. But at the end of the day, I tell them, well, then why don't you apply for the agency? You can get a higher pay, and you don't have to deal with the drama of the same facility every single day. You get, like, at the agency I work for, Norton, they gave me a list of different facilities that I've had no run-in with or anything like that. I've never worked for them. And I got an assignment that's about 45 minutes away from my house or something like that, but the rate of pay, and I don't have to work there 2 days out of the week, or 2 shifts, so I'll do like 1 double and then 1 weekend shift and then get that bonus like I was telling you guys earlier. Now, that kind of falls in with the different assignments and stuff like that you're given. You really don't know what's going to happen. You're kind of blindsided, so that's why the rate of pay is better. So that's why I definitely tell people, pursue that agency. Yeah, the benefits might not be as good, but your rate of pay is higher. So, and a lot of these agencies offer the healthcare and the all the good benefits and stuff like that, depending on how long you're with them. I know I have to be with my place for 3 months before I'm eligible for that type of thing. That's why I've also got the full-time job. So, at the end of the day, I definitely tell people, go for the agency CNA over the regular CNA when it comes to it. I mean, I know it depends on your level of experience. Most of these places want like a year or more. But that was today's topic. I hope that you guys enjoyed my discussion about, how agency CNAs are kind of treated, what to expect when coming into these agencies, and how, our rate of pay is a little bit higher, and what different types of positions are out there. It all depends. Just look for it. All right, guys, that male CNA out. Good seeing you again.